What is a question you posted on AskReddit you really wanted to know but wasn't upvoted enough to be answered? I was asking about what happened to people that were last online _years ago. I remember when I switched from Xbox 360 to PC back in 2009, I left most of my online friends on the platform and forgot to tell them I switched over. I logged back in 2013 and turned out one of my old friends happened to be online and he also was looking for old friends online like I was. After a short talk I heard he also switched over and played some of the games I do. We still play games to this day, with our most recent being Remnant, From the Ashes. It's pretty surreal thinking I met this guy over 10 years ago and we're still going strong to this day. Added some more lines to flesh out the story. I asked people what the most heartwarming thing their teacher said was, but nobody commented. Okay, this is a moment that will always bring tears to my eyes, from my taekwondo instructor years ago. Closest thing I have. So my brother and I joined together before our teen years, and when my brother was 16 he was in a life-altering car accident, from being in a coma to being told he may need both legs amputated to maybe only one leg, to legs will recover but he probably won't walk again. After just 3 months I returned home and resumed training while he was still in rehab. Anyway, he got sent home early and he wanted to surprise me by coming to class and picking me up. My instructor is in the middle of a pep talk when he notices me looking past him in awe. He turns and looks at the door, does a double take and just looks back at me all red-faced and with a huge genuine smile, looking like he too was about to cry, and said, "Sorry class, I have just been distracted by something incredible." My brother had walked in on crutches against all our expectations, but it was knowing that my instructor was so emotionally affected by this too, that made me cry. I wanted to know people's recurring dreams. What kind of old person do you think you'll be? Get off my lawn. I'll feel like Clint Eastwood but actually be way less badass. I actually wanted to know what kinds of jobs people originally wanted but couldn't and why they gave up on it. I'm really close to that age where we'd get forced to pick where we wanted to go in life, and I was hoping to get some sort of insight from actual working adults so I don't get disappointed. A bit sad, I'll be honest. I went to school to learn how to run all of the equipment inside of a television studio: cameras, sound equipment, Chiron, which is the overlay graphics system, everything. I wanted to be a technician in studio for a nightly newscast, that sort of thing. I was set to graduate in December 2005, and just before I did they started automating most of that equipment. The number of engineers needed to run a half-hour newscast on your local cable channel went from a dozen or so down to just a handful. Most TV studios were cutting people loose left and right, and I essentially graduated into a dead career field, and I was far too late into my program to switch majors. I've managed well through a combination of hard work and good luck, but that was a terrifying situation to be in at graduation. I was really interested in some basic problems in human history that took way too long to be solved. Ended up getting answers such as flying. So you know about scurvy, a nasty disease caused by lack of vitamin C, which often occurred among sailors on long journeys. Well, they figured that out after some centuries, and standard practice became to bring fruits and veggies on voyages. After happily doing that for a while, everyone just forgot about scurvy. They collectively just forgot why they kept bringing these expensive fruits and decided, nah, let's not, and began scratching their heads about this newfound nasty disease. Took them more than a century to figure it out again. Silly sailors. If you could bring one historical figure to the present, who would it be and what would you show him/her? I only got 3 replies, one of which was your mom, my dick. Why do people, who are not chefs, keep their recipes a secret? Grandma wants to feel important. Let her have her thing. I wanted to know what it's like having a family member who was on reality TV and the aftermath. I still do. What it's like to go through a tornado. Many of these questions sound interesting. It's a shame they didn't go far. This is the rare thread where you can Reddit while you Reddit. Bartenders of Reddit, what was the oddest order you've ever received? I bartend myself, and my answer would be soda water with whipped cream. Asked how people coped with grief after a close friend died. A few people answered, but I wish it was more. 6 months later and still struggling at times. Edit, thanks for all the replies. Working through them now and I appreciate all the kind words and advice. Definitely made me cry and it's really touched me how many people shared their stories. Thank you, heart. The answer nobody likes to hear. Time. It's the only thing that helped. I felt like I was in a daze after I lost a close friend. It was 2 or 3 days before I ate anything. I still didn't know what to do with myself. I would sit and stare off into space or lie there and fall asleep. Eventually I got to the point where I was turning on the TV and sitting in front of it, but paying no attention to what was going on. Slowly I started actually watching a little. My family and friends helped too, by either distracting me or talking about it. Now it's been 5 years and I still miss her, but it's easier than it was. I don't think about her every single day anymore. I felt guilty about it at first, but I realized that I needed a break, otherwise I'll just be miserable. Time was the only thing that could actually heal. Serious answer. I asked police officers if dealing with dangerous criminals had affected their day-to-day outlook on personal security, out of uniform. I was curious if being face-to-face with criminals had caused them to do anything differently than us civilians. I was curious if they were more likely to be diligent about door locks, or if they gave more thought to the customers when they entered restaurants, stuff like that. For some reason the question just disappeared after I pressed submit. I couldn't find it with any sorting order. I wish someone with more karma/skill than me would post it to AskReddit. My stuff keeps getting eaten by hamsters, or something. What stopped people on the edge of committing suicide? Or who going through a rough time right now? Thank you for the many replies. Been bawling my eyes out at you guys' kindness. It had been a really dark time for me. This means a lot. No shit, my roommate made pizza. He knocked on my door and said made some za. Come get it. And I did. Restaurant kitchen workers of Reddit, have you ever witnessed an action movie chase while on the job? Yes, and I waved my cleaver and cursed at them in Chinese as they ran through. I don't know if I posted it here, but somewhere on Reddit I asked this question without getting an answer. Do people with more than 5 fingers on their hand use the additional fingers when they type, or do they only use the primary 5 fingers that other people have to type? You have 6 fingers on your right hand. I know someone who is looking for you. What are some really small subreddits that you recommend? I wanted to explore some of these subreddits that have less than 100 subscribers. /r/obscure subreddits. What is the one thing you recommend everyone to try? Edit, appreciate the replies. Thank you all. Flying. Most people don't know, but you can go to a flight school and get a free 30 minutes discovery flight. Why not go fly a small plane today? What is currently ruined because not enough people are doing it, as opposed to what is ruined because too much people are doing it? Tons of classic online games. I wanted to hear from promiscuous people about how often they bump into people say today that they've slept with and how that all went. It wasn't a particularly interesting question and the audience would have been small and perhaps insulted. I had a new director at work ask if he knew me from somewhere. I'm not sure if I've slept with him, so I just told him I have a familiar face. The post, doctors and nurses of Reddit, what's the strangest thing a patient was doing, or appeared to be doing, when you entered the room? I was an inpatient a while back, went to the toilet outside my room whilst I was waiting for my nurse to come and change my cannula, closed the door over behind me. I was gone a while, I had difficulty walking. Came out of the loo to a nurse stood outside my room peering in through the opening of the door, looking concerned. Asked him for help back into the room. Oh, is this your room? Yes. My name is on the door and matches my wristband. Then who is that? He had been watching a large helium get well balloon bounce and sway up and down in the breeze and thought it was me, dancing alone in the room, didn't want to disturb me. He had been there for around 10 minutes, just watching. I asked what were some moments that bonded you and a stranger instantly to brothers. I just wanted to hear some Instabro stories. Frown. At a music festival, dancing with my LED hula hoop and this woman is just freaking out in awe of it like it's the most insane thing she's ever seen. I stop in between songs and start chatting with her. We are both nurses, both speak Spanish, love all the same music. We spent the next 6 hours hanging out, dancing, talking, perusing vendors' booths. Bought me a cat coin bank that still sits on my windowsill 5 years later. Haven't seen her since, but we stay in touch via Facebook. I wanted to know if people have woken up from a dream and still thinking what happened in it was real. I had a dream that my crush and I got together and were living in a small apartment in Buenos Aires. We were both doing jobs we loved and were incredibly happy together. And yeah, had plenty of sex in the dream. I woke up and reached out for her, intending to cuddle, only to find the bed was empty. It took a solid few minutes to remember that I'm single and have never been to Argentina. I've had a reply on this one, but I asked people who dropped out why they did it. The only reply I got was one person who missed class a lot. THX to whoever answered my r/AskReddit question. I dropped out of college because I had to have surgery and wouldn't be able to do both. Maybe someday I'll go back, but at this point I'm just enjoying working and saving some money. I'm in a lot of debt because of bad decisions in college and want to get a handle on it before I go back. Dead people of Reddit, how is it going out there? I kind of understand you got little response. It's two, both with almost the same theme lol. And GT, people who have dyed their hair into another natural hair color. Did you ever notice any changes in behavior towards you or how someone treated you? And GT, people who had plastic surgery for cosmetic reasons. Has anything, apart from your appearance obviously, changed? So I would often dye my hair a very natural looking red. Usually I'm a muddy brownish blonde, so red really felt elegant and pretty to me. After I dyed it, a lot of people assumed I was a natural redhead for a long time, new coworkers etc. And I was complimented on my blue eyes a lot more after I dyed it. It was like I went from a 5/10 to a 7/10 without really doing anything. Redhead preference with men is noticeable. People are nicer to you when you are prettier. What is the weirdest thing you ever walked in on someone doing? It got one insanely weird answer. I went to your profile because I was curious and what the fuck? I asked Uber drivers the kind of etiquette they expect from passengers. The reverse could be done, too. Got 2 upvotes and no replies. Parents of Reddit. Can colleges see your Reddit posts/comments? I don't think they would know it's you since they can't just search your name to find your account. Always wanted to know why people are racist against Jews. Just seems like there is no real reason for anti-Semitism. Well, there is no real reason for being racist to anyone, so there's that I don't understand as well. Edit, I am in awe of the answers I have gotten here, and some PMs. If the real world was like this, freedom to discuss issues without fear of reprisal, we would be a much better planet to live on and we would all get along so much better and might possibly solve some of the issues surrounding us today. Those that haven't, please read through the comments for an enlightened view of your fellow humans on a very touchy subject, albeit one of many. Thank you to all who have contributed. You have helped my knowledge base, even though I still feel a misunderstanding of this and racism, religiosism, in general. This has, and continues to be, intellectually stimulating. Thank you all for all of your points of view. This is weird but was morbidly curious. What is a question you posted on AskReddit you really wanted to know but wasn't upvoted enough to be answered? What is a question you posted on AskReddit you really wanted to know but wasn't upvoted enough to be answered? People with a username like PM_me_X. Has anyone ever actually pwned UX?